Okay, so imagine trying to write your life story. But there's a rule.
Mm-hmm.
You can't use any words with the letters E, D, or C.
Wow, that would be,
I know, right? Like,
Yeah.
talk about a limited vocabulary.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happens to our bodies when they're missing key nutrients.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they can't communicate properly.
Yeah.
And you know what really takes a hit? Our immune systems.
It's such a great analogy. And it's true. Our immune systems are so complex. They need everything to be working just right.
Right. And that's exactly what we're diving into today with this huge stack of research, interviews, even social media posts.
It is a lot.
It is. But it's like a roadmap, a roadmap to a healthier immune system. And we're going to figure it out together.
I love that.
But first, we got to talk about this sneaky villain. It might be messing with you right now and you don't even realize it. Chronic inflammation.
Ah, yes. Chronic inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
So our bodies are always trying to find this balance, like a state of perfect harmony. It's called homeostasis. But in the modern world, there are so many things that can disrupt that balance. Think about pollution, processed foods, stress. All of that can lead to this low-grade inflammation that just lingers.
And so like a silent threat. You don't even realize it's happening until things start to go wrong.
Exactly.
Dr. Clayton, in his presentation, The Basic Rules for the Next Generation of Medicine, he shared a statistic that blew my mind. Since the 1950s, type 2 diabetes has increased by, get this, 800%.
Oh, wow.
And guess what he blames it on? Chronic inflammation.
It's like this slow burn, damaging our bodies over time.
Right. And so how do we even know if it's affecting us?
Well, think about how you feel day to day.
Yeah.
Are you tired all the time? Do you have digestive issues, aches and pains?
Yeah, sometimes.
Those could all be signs that inflammation is taking a toll.
It's like we're constantly in that fight or flight mode, like that zebra running from a lion.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Right. Dr. Macri used it in her talk, The Importance of Fatty Acids and Anti-Inflammatory Treatment.
Mm-hmm.
She said, the problem is we never actually escape the lion.
We're just dealing with constant stress.
Right. And that keeps our bodies in this heightened state of alert, and it messes with our immune systems.
It does.
So where do we even begin to deal with this?
Well, the research points to a surprising culprit.
Okay, I'm listening.
The balance of fats in our diet, specifically omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids.
Omega-3s, those are the good fats, right? Like in fish oil.
Yes. But it's not that simple.
Oh.
We actually need both omega-6 and omega-3. They're both essential for our health. Think of them like the building blocks of our cell membranes, which are crucial for everything our bodies do.
Okay, but what's the problem then?
The problem is most of us are getting way too many omega-6s and not nearly enough omega-3s.
And that's bad.
Yes.
How so?
That imbalance creates a pro-inflammatory state in the body.
Interesting.
Dr. Robertson, in his video, Deficiencies in the Modern Diet and Treatment with the Health Protocol, he explains that while omega-6s are important for things like wound healing, the typical Western diet has way too many of them. They're in a lot of processed foods and vegetable oils.
So it's about the types of fats we're eating, not just the amount.
Exactly. And to make matters worse, many people aren't getting enough omega-3s, which actually help to fight inflammation.
So it's like we're adding fuel to the fire without having any water to put it out.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Well, Dr. Robertson shared a statistic that kind of freaked me out. He said the average Western European has an omega-6 to omega-3 ratio of 14:1.
Wow.
Ideally, it should be closer to 3:1 or even less.
Yes, that's a big difference.
Right. So before we even think about supplements or anything like that, we need to look at what we're eating every day.
Absolutely. Think about your own diet. How often do you eat processed foods? How much fatty fish do you eat?
Good point.
It's a good starting point.
Yeah.
Just being aware of that balance is really important.
And here's where it gets really interesting. That balance of fats actually affects our cells directly.
It does. Dr. Robertson describes our cells as these tiny little factories working all the time to keep our bodies running.
I like that.
And for those factories to work properly, they need healthy, flexible cell membranes. And, you guessed it, those membranes are made up of
Fats, omega-6s and omega-3s.
Exactly.
So if we have too many omega-6s, it's like messing up the factory's machinery.
Yes. It's a great way to think about it. The cells can't absorb nutrients as well, they can't get rid of waste as efficiently, and that can lead to all sorts of problems, including a weaker immune response.
So how do we fix this?
Well, one approach is personalized nutrition.
Okay, so what does that mean? Like a special diet?
It can involve that, but it's more about understanding your individual needs. And there's a company called Zenzino that's doing some really interesting work in this area.
I've heard of them.
Have you?
Yeah, a friend of mine was raving about their balance test. It measures your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, right?
Yes. It gives you this personalized snapshot of your cellular health.
That's so cool.
And they've actually conducted over 1.5 million of these tests.
Wow, that's a lot of data.
It is. They've created this massive database on fatty acid profiles, which allows them to make really targeted recommendations.
So it's not just about taking a random fish oil supplement. It's about figuring out what your body specifically needs.
Exactly.
I like that.
One of their products is called Balance Oil. It's a blend of high-quality olive oil and fish oil, designed to correct that omega-6 to omega-3 imbalance.
So we've talked about fats and inflammation, but there's another big piece of the immune health puzzle we can't forget about, right?
Absolutely. We have to talk about the gut microbiome.
Our gut. What does that have to do with immunity?
More than you might think. Dr. Clayton actually calls it our second brain.
Our second brain.
Really? Yep. Did you know that 70% of our immune system is located in the gut?
Wow. No, I didn't know that.
It's amazing, right? It's like having this whole army of immune cells in our digestive system ready to fight off invaders.
Okay, so how do we keep that army strong and healthy?
We have to give them the right ammunition.
Now, what's that?
Fiber. Dietary fiber. It acts as a prebiotic, which means it feeds the good bacteria in our gut, helping them to thrive.
Okay, so fiber is like food for the good guys.
Exactly.
So we want to make sure we're eating plenty of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains.
Right. But here's the problem. Most modern diets are really low in fiber.
And what happens then?
Well, when we don't eat enough fiber, it can create an imbalance in the gut microbiome. It throws off that delicate ecosystem, and that makes us more susceptible to all sorts of problems.
Including a weakened immune system.
Exactly.
So it's not just about what we're eating, it's about what our gut bacteria are eating.
Precisely.
And you know what? Zenzino actually has a product that can help with this too. Their Extend Plus formula.
Oh, yes. I was just about to mention that.
It's like a 3-in-1 package for gut health.
Yes. It has prebiotics to feed the good bacteria, probiotics to introduce even more beneficial strains, and added fiber for bulk.
It's like giving our gut microbiome the royal treatment.
Exactly. And in the Q&A session on their products, they shared this incredible story about a woman who had been struggling with psoriasis, which is actually linked to immune dysfunction.
Wow.
And after using Extend Plus along with the Balance Oil, she saw significant improvements in her symptoms.
That's incredible. It really shows how connected everything is in our bodies.
It does. By addressing both the omega-6 to omega-3 balance and the health of our gut microbiome, we're creating this ripple effect of positive change.
I love that. So it's not just about taking a bunch of supplements. It's about making those fundamental changes to support our bodies from the inside out.
Precisely. And that brings us to another really important piece of the puzzle. Cultivating discipline.
Discipline.
Yes. Dr. Robertson dives into this in his talk, Nutritional Discipline, and he really challenges this idea that we just need more motivation to be healthy.
Because, let's be honest, motivation can be fleeting.
It is. It comes and goes. Discipline, on the other hand, is what helps us create those lasting habits.
Right. Like, you don't run a marathon on just bursts of motivation. You need that consistent effort. Day after day.
Exactly. And Dr. Robertson uses that analogy. He says that setting health goals is like training for a marathon.
And he has this really powerful phrase, discipline equals freedom.
I love that.
I know, right? At first it sounds kind of contradictory, but when you think about it,
It makes so much sense. When we have the discipline to make healthy choices consistently.
we actually free ourselves from those cravings
Yeah.
and the guilt and the yo-yo dieting.
Exactly. It's about creating a lifestyle that supports our well-being.
So what are some practical steps we can take to boost our immune health? What are the key takeaways that stand out to you from all this research?
Well, one thing that jumps out is the importance of regular exercise. It's not just about looking good or losing weight. It actually plays a vital role in supporting our immune system.
That's right.
Dr. Robertson even mentioned that a brisk walk every day can make a difference.
Really, just a walk.
Yep. He explained that movement helps to get our lymphatic system flowing, which is like our body's internal cleaning crew, you know. It helps clear out those toxins and waste products that can weaken our immune system.
So simple, but so important.
It is. And of course, there's the importance of sleep. When we're sleep deprived, our immune systems take a big hit, making us more vulnerable to getting sick.
Sleep is so underrated.
It is. And Dr. Robertson actually shared his own personal sleep routine. He aims for at least 6 to 7 hours every night. He's a busy doctor, but he prioritizes sleep.
That's a good reminder for all of us.
It is. And we can't forget about stress management. We've already talked about how chronic stress fuels inflammation and weakens our immune system. So finding healthy ways to de-stress, whether it's meditation, yoga, spending time in nature, or anything you enjoy, is incredibly important.
It's about creating those pockets of calm, right? Giving our bodies a chance to recharge.
Exactly. And as we've been discussing, making conscious food choices is crucial. Cutting back on processed foods, loading up on fiber-rich fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, and making sure we're getting enough omega-3s.
All of that can make a huge difference.
It can. And those Zinzino products we talked about, like Balance Oil and Extend Plus,
Yeah.
those can be really helpful tools for filling in those nutritional gaps where our modern diets fall short.
It's like giving our bodies that extra support they need to function at their best.
Exactly.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have, exploring all those different factors that influence our immune health, but there's always more to learn.
Definitely. And one question that's been swirling in my mind throughout this whole conversation. We talked about omega-3s, gut health, all the good stuff.
Yeah.
But what about the role of specific vitamins and minerals in supporting our immune system? Like, which ones are especially important, and how can we make sure we're getting enough?
That's a great question, and that's something we'll dive into in part 2. We'll explore the specific vitamins and minerals that play a key role in immune function and how we can incorporate them into our diets.
Awesome. I can't wait. So stay tuned, folks. We'll be back soon with more fascinating insights into the amazing world of immune health.
You know, it's interesting how we often focus on those big picture things for health, like diet and exercise and sleep.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's those tiny details that can make a huge difference.
Like those vitamins and minerals we were just talking about.
Exactly. They might be small, but they're absolutely essential for our immune system.
It's easy to overlook them,
It is.
but they're like the unsung heroes working behind the scenes to keep everything running smoothly.
I love that, the unsung heroes. And, you know, Dr. Robertson, in his talk on deficiencies in the modern diet, he made this really interesting comparison. He said that vitamins and minerals are like the letters of our body's language.
Oh.
And if we're missing certain letters, well, our communication gets all garbled, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that breakdown in communication can show up in all sorts of ways.
Like how?
Well, we might catch colds more easily, or wounds might take longer to heal. It can even contribute to more serious issues like autoimmune disorders.
Wow, I never really thought about it like that.
It's fascinating, isn't it? And Dr. Clayton, in his presentation on, what was it called?
Basic rules for the next generation of medicine.
Yes, that's it. He actually delved into the roles of specific nutrients.
Oh, cool. Like what?
Well, he talked about vitamin D, for example.
Oh, yeah, vitamin D is important for our bones, right?
It is.
No.
But it's also crucial for activating those T cells that help us fight off infections.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. So if we don't have enough vitamin D,
Our immune response is going to be sluggish,
no.
less effective.
It's like having a security system with a delayed alarm, right? By the time it goes off.
The intruders are already inside.
Exactly. So vitamin D is definitely one to keep in mind. What else did Dr. Clayton talk about?
Well, he also highlighted the importance of zinc, selenium, and vitamin C.
Okay, those sound familiar. But what do they actually do for our immune system?
So zinc is really important for the development and function of our immune cells.
Right.
It's like giving them the proper training and equipment they need to do their job effectively.
I like that. So zinc is like the drill sergeant of the immune system.
Exactly. And then there's selenium. Selenium acts like a powerful antioxidant, protecting our cells from damage caused by those unstable molecules called free radicals.
Free radicals, those sound kind of scary.
They can be. They can wreak havoc in the body.
So selenium is like...
It's like having a team of bodyguards shielding our cells from attack.
Okay, that makes sense. And what about vitamin C? That's the classic immune booster, right?
It is. It helps our bodies produce those white blood cells that are our frontline defenders against infections.
So it's like sending reinforcements to the battlefront.
Exactly. But here's the thing. It can be hard to get all of the nutrients we need from food alone these days.
Why is that? I mean, I try to eat a healthy diet.
You do, and that's great, but modern farming practices have depleted the soil, you know?
So even if we're eating fruits and vegetables...
They might not be as nutrient-rich as they used to be.
That's a bummer.
It is. And then there's our reliance on processed foods, which are often stripped of nutrients.
So what's the solution?
Well, targeted supplementation can be really helpful. It's not about replacing a healthy diet, but it can bridge those nutritional gaps and give our bodies that extra support they might need,
Okay, so supplements can be like,
like a safety net.
I like that.
And in the Q&A session about those Zinzino products,
Yeah?
they talked about how their formulations are designed to address these common deficiencies.
So they're not just random supplements. They're actually tailored to what people are missing.
Exactly. They combine those high-quality omega-3s we talked about earlier with a blend of essential vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants,
It's like giving our bodies a multivitamin boost.
but in a much more targeted and effective way.
I like it.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the physical stuff, the nutrients and all that.
Mhm.
But what about our mental and emotional well-being? Does that play a role in immune health too?
Absolutely. It's that mind-body connection, right? It's so powerful. Dr. Macri really emphasized how chronic stress can weaken our immune system.
Yeah, it goes back to that zebra and lion analogy.
It does. When we're constantly stressed out.
Our bodies are stuck in that fight or flight mode.
Exactly. And those stress hormones, like cortisol, they actually suppress our immune function, which makes us more vulnerable to getting sick.
So stress is like,
Like an inside job. It's weakening our defenses from within.
not cool. So what can we do about it?
Well, Dr. Macri talked about the importance of finding healthy ways to cope with stress.
Or like what?
Things like meditation, yoga, spending time in nature, anything that helps you relax and unwind.
It's about creating that sense of inner peace,
Mm.
right? So our immune system can actually do its job.
Exactly. And, in one of those Plan B community discussions, someone shared a story about how connecting with others and building a strong support system made a huge difference in their overall health.
That makes sense. Humans are social creatures, right? We need that connection.
We do. And feeling isolated and lonely can actually impact our physical health, including our immune system.
So having those close relationships and feeling supported.
It's like having a team of cheerleaders for our health.
I love that, boosting our spirits and our immunity.
Exactly. And speaking of boosting, Dr. Robertson had a really interesting perspective in his talk on nutritional discipline. He said that real lasting change isn't about making these huge drastic shifts.
Okay.
It's about those small, consistent steps that we take day after day.
He's all about the baby steps, right? Making those gradual changes that add up over time.
Exactly. He wants us to think of it like a marathon, not a sprint.
I like that. It's about building those sustainable habits.
It is. And he also talked about the importance of taking ownership of our health.
What does that mean?
It means recognizing that we have the power to make choices that support our well-being, instead of feeling like a victim of our circumstances.
Well, like we're just stuck with the genes we were given.
Exactly. He wants us to become active participants in our own health destinies.
I love that. It's empowering.
It is. And part of that ownership is being mindful of the information we consume. We're bombarded with health advice from all directions these days, right?
It's true. It can be hard to know who to trust.
It can be.
Yeah.
So it's crucial to be discerning and make sure we're getting our information from credible sources.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, one of the Zinzino social media posts talked about the importance of doing our own research.
Okay, so not just blindly following whatever we see online.
Right. Critically evaluating information, checking sources, and not just jumping on the latest trends or fads.
It's about becoming savvy health consumers.
Exactly. Questioning what we read and hear and making informed choices based on solid evidence. And it's also about being open to new perspectives. Challenging our assumptions and having those open conversations with healthcare professionals we trust.
Right, not being afraid to ask questions and get different opinions.
Exactly. It's about taking an active role in our health journey. It might sound a bit extreme, but cold exposure can be really good for our immune system.
I know, right? Dr. Robertson was talking about cold showers, even ice baths.
I know.
Definitely not for me. But he said they can actually trigger all these good things.
Yeah. It's like a shock to the system.
Right?
It makes your body release immune cells, and it increases antioxidants.
It's like a wake-up call for our immune system.
Exactly. Like, hey, get ready to fight.
And of course, we got to talk about sunlight.
Yes. Vitamin D.
Dr. Clayton was saying how important it is.
Yes.
Get outside for at least 15, 20 minutes a day.
Let that skin soak it up.
No sunscreen, but be careful, right? Don't overdo it.
Exactly. Find that balance.
Speaking of balance, I want to circle back to Zinzino because in that Q&A about their products, it really struck me. It's not just about the individual things, is it?
No, it's not. They have a whole system.
It is, right? Like a whole approach.
It starts with knowing where you're at with that balance test.
I love that test.
Me too.
It's like, okay, here's the reality check. Now what? Dr. Robertson talked about that. You can't fix what you don't measure.
It's so true. He said that in a...
Efficiencies in the modern diet and treatment with the health protocol.
That's the one. So
Yep.
you get the test, you see your ratio, then what? You've got the balance oil, the extend.
It's like a personalized plan, right?
Yeah.
Not just guessing.
Exactly. And they support you along the way, too. It's not just, here are the products, good luck.
That's so important.
Yeah.
Because real change, it doesn't happen overnight.
It doesn't. That's something else they brought up in the Q&A. It's a journey. It's going to be a mindset shift.
Totally. Dr. Robertson, with his nutritional discipline talk, he was all about that.
I loved that talk. Motivation, he said. It comes and goes.
Like the tide, right?
Exactly. Discipline, though, that's the key. That's what gets you results.
So what's his secret? How do we get more disciplined?
He said, you got to attach real value to your health. Like, truly understand why it matters to you.
Ask yourself those tough questions.
Right. How bad do you want it? What are you willing to do every day?
Not just when you're feeling motivated.
Exactly. It's the long game, not the quick fix.
Another thing that really stuck with me from that panel
Which
discussion,
one? There were so many good ones.
the one about fatty acids, all the scientists together.
Oh, yeah.
They were talking about our environment and how it messes with our immune system.
That was a good one. It's not just what we put in our bodies, it's everything around us.
It is. They called it immunological overload.
I've never heard that before, but it makes sense.
It's like we're under attack from all sides, you know? Pollution, noise, even technology.
It's too much. Like Dr. Macri said, we're constantly in defense mode.
And that wears us down.
It does. We get depleted.
So it's not enough to just eat healthy. We got to create a healthy environment too.
Yes. Give our immune systems a break. Spend time in nature. Put down the phone.
Make our homes peaceful.
Exactly. You have more control than you think.
You know, as we wrap up this deep dive,
I know it went by so fast.
it did.
But I keep thinking about that idea. Everything's connected.
It is. From the cells in our gut to the air we breathe.
And our choices, they matter.
They do. They affect us, our community, the whole planet.
It can feel scary,
Overwhelming.
but also
Hopeful. Because we can make a difference, even in small ways.
that's the key takeaway right there.
So what's one thing you can do right now for your immune system?
Anything. Swap a soda for water.
Take 5 deep breaths.
Call a friend.
It all adds up. You are in control.
That's what I love about this topic. It's empowering.
It is. So thank you for joining us for this incredible deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We've learned so much. Stay curious, stay informed.
And stay well.